All right, so we got another mailbag for today where we have a subscriber from dubclub.win, Matt from Colorado. How you doing, Matt?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
We're doing good in here. We're all in here. We got our drinks ready to go, so we are ready to go.
Yeah.
I normally do 3 drinks in a podcast, but I'm just going to do 1 today, so I didn't get
the memo that it was Big Lebowski Day today.
Yeah, I know you should. We should put out an email before we have people on. But Matt, you're a subscriber on Dub Club with us. How you liking it so far?
Yeah, I love it, man. I'm just a recent subscriber. I've been messing around with the props and the team plays. It's awesome because it comes through on Telegram, so it makes it super easy to just get it on your phone if you're not in front of your computer looking at your email. So love it, and it's been successful. So
yeah, it is easy. Normally they have text messages going and it's like really easy, but it's good that they have like a backup for just in case if those text messages don't come out, and you sign up on Telegram and it's basically a text message. So yeah.
It's super easy to call my drug dealer as well on Telegram. Telegram.
You can use it for multiple things. I'm going to have to write that down. Let me put that in my notes. You mentioned player props. You love the player props. You're not a team bettor at all. You just go strictly with the player props?
Actually, I'm a big hockey totals guy. So I developed my own algorithm to predict hockey totals.
Okay.
I love baseball, but that just started. So I'm waiting for a little bit of a sample size before I start messing around with that. Until then, I'll just work off your robots.
We love both of those too. And our robots that's the number one thing for team bets is NHL. It just overtook all the soccer bets. I think it's like getting close to like, it's over 50% of our units won on team bets is hockey bets. So, and the over unders are what we mostly do. There's been a lot of overs this year. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed that. It's a lot more fun to bet the overs. So I definitely
it is a lot more fun
of that.
And with Jake too, Jake has a lot of player props. That's probably the most profitable bet that you have, right, Jake?
Yeah, NHL's been taking over for me as well, especially the shots on goal.
But Matt, you have an interesting approach. You do power play player prop parlays. And have you been profitable on those?
Yeah. So actually, I usually do round robins because it's really hard to hit power play point. The power play point market is hard to hit. If you can say that 10 times fast.
It's hard to hit that sentence.
Yeah, it's hard to hit 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah, so you don't do the parlays, you just round robin them, or do you do both?
I'll bet them straight. I was kind of messing around with this because I saw some value in that market and noticed some trends that I wanted to try to take advantage of. So as I was experimenting with it, I was messing around with round robins and I was hitting 3 out of 4. And I was like, this is definitely something that I should talk about.
So I've never done a power play prop before. How does it work? Is it just if someone's going to score a goal, or what is the bet?
Yeah. So power play point is when you get an assist or a scored goal on a power play. So since 20% of goals in the NHL are scored on power play, and about 1.7 assists per goal are attached to that goal. You're looking at per game, you're looking at a little over 3 power play points per game. So, there are to go around on average. And obviously you want to take advantage of the optimal the matchups with the teams that are doing well in power play and the teams that suck at killing power play. So those are basically the things you want to look at first when you're looking at this market.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that because in hockey, you can get an assist off 2 guys, but in a power play, they're moving the puck around a lot more. So the assists are going to double. You're going to get a lot of goals with 2 assists.
Right. So at 1.7, that's actually the average goal scored with and divided by assists, right? But on the power play, it actually goes up a little higher. I didn't actually do the math on that, but it's because obviously you don't get a lot of breakaway power plays. Teams know that you're going to be coming at them, and they're going to be shorthanded. So they sit back and watch you pass the puck around until you score. Hopefully.
Yeah. So you're doing all overs then. So it's you're looking for, and this is pregame, right? This isn't a live bet.
Yeah. So it's not a live. It's not actually offered live. If somebody knows where to find that, I'd be happy to bet it. But yeah, this is a pregame bet. And basically, what you want to look for are the optimal matchups. Obviously teams that are poor at killing penalties, and then also teams that are really good on power play. What I like to do is look at the last 20 games. And the reason for that is there are a lot of changes that happen in the lineups, especially with teams that are tinkering with their power play first line. So you kind of want to weight that a little higher than what you've seen over the course of the season, especially because there's injuries. There's a lot of guys that were on the first line that aren't even playing now because they're injured. So you definitely want to look at that. I usually, if listeners want to use this, it's an easy mnemonic to use. Fat map. The teams that are terrible at killing penalties. So Florida, Tampa Bay, Montreal, Arizona, Anaheim, and Philly. So fat map. Right. I didn't think I did that in order, but you can just basically go off that. Right. And really what you want to look for is opportunity. So once you kind of crunch your numbers on, who you think will score a power play point, obviously you want to look for opportunity, but you also want to look at what's really happened in like the last 10, 20 games. You want to look at the first power play line. So the first power play line is going to get the most opportunities. Some teams played a little bit different, like the Kings, for instance. They'll have a second power play line. They'll bring in first or second, depending on who was on the ice most recently. A guy like Victor Arvidsson, you can get him at plus 400 on these. And in the last 10 games, he has 6 power play points. So you don't want to look at power play points. You want to look at how many times it's occurred in the last, say, 10 games, right? So if he has 6 power play points in one game, he's only done it once out of 10 games, right? It doesn't help you if you hit the over 0.5 and he hits 3 power play points, which does happen, right? So you want to look at some guys that are consistent in scoring and bet those guys. Really where the value is in this market that I've found is guys that are at plus 200 or better. You can, for instance, look at somebody like Leon Draisaitl out of Edmonton. I could have used McDavid as an example, but he's like on Neptune and probably not a good one. So Draisaitl, I just wrote down some stats here. So 74 games played. He has a power play point in 43 of those games. So that works out to about 58.1%. And if you look at his lines now, the books, the way they typically do this is the implied odds. So it's minus 140, right? The implied odds on his bet, about 58%. So just looking at kind of like how many times he scored, at least 1 power play point over a game. Games
Where
played.
what do you normally see him at? What are the odds on average?
Yeah, so most of the time it's a plus. Like the only guys that you're going to see that are minus odds are McDavid and Draisaitl, because they're the best power play point or power play team in the league. They're over 35% in the last 20, and I think 31 over the season. So nobody else is over 30% on the season. And then, so really what you want to do is you want to look at injuries first. And also you want to look at guys who might be stepping up because somebody's going to sit. So like if teams are out of it right now, for instance, Boston just won the President's Trophy on Thursday. They have the highest average age of players on their team, a little over 29 years old. So they're an old team. So they can literally sit back for the rest of the season and not play their stars. So who's going to play on their PowerPoint or power play first line? That's something to look at. Teams that are out of it, that are maybe tinkering with their rookies, want to give them an opportunity, see how they do. Like Montreal, for instance, Columbus, those teams, you can still get guys at really good value. So yeah, there's only 10 games left in the season, for most teams, and maybe a little late to be talking about this, but it's actually the optimal time to be looking at this market because there's so much movement in replacement with players. So guys like Harvey Pinard out of Montreal, he's scored a power play point in 4 of the last 10 games. I'm getting him at plus 575. So
Wow.
It's pretty absurd. The books just don't adjust for these replacements. They're looking at how many power play points you have on the season. And then over time, like if you keep getting looks, for instance, Marcus Johansson out of Minnesota, he's replacing Kirill Kaprizov. And he's been hurt for 15 games now. Johansson, I'm getting it at plus 575 as well, around that. And he's got 6 in the last 10. So it just doesn't make sense. If you look at the recent numbers, these lines do not make sense at all. So you can really take advantage of those. Obviously, betting straight's probably the best way to do this. But if you want to sprinkle a little round robin, whatever, it's all good.
Yeah, with that much spread in the advantage that you have, putting it in a round robin, you're still gonna have an advantage. It's just another way to get more action on it.
Right, exactly. And they pay nicely, so you don't have to put, you do 1/10 of a unit on there.
Yeah. This whole strategy reminds me of your strategy, Jake, with player props. And it also reminds me back in the day when we first started doing player props like 10 years ago, the market wasn't there. So the computer models that are setting up these lines, they were just basing it off of like averages. Mm-hmm. And so we could come in there on an untapped market and just dive right in. You probably don't want this video to be posted on YouTube.
I hope the books actually don't see this. Yeah, exactly. Something that count,
we
like
might not put this out.
Markets don't even have it, right? So I was talking to Jake and Chris about it, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't even bet these." I was like, "Well, just give me a call if you want to throw some action on it." But
I might give you a call too. Do you see any coming up in the future, like on Monday or Tuesday, that you like?
Yeah. So Monday, you have Minnesota is playing Vegas. Vegas is actually the best team at killing penalties. They give up the least amount of power play opportunities per game. So it's not a great matchup for Minnesota, but Minnesota's been doing really well on the power play. So if you can get Marcus Johansson at 575, assuming Kaprizov doesn't come back this weekend, that's going to be a really good play. I mean, it's worth it for sure. You're still getting, somebody's on average going to score at least 1 power play goal per game. So you're looking at 3 power play points typically on average. Unless of course those guys are also involved. You could score 2 and have the same guys in there as well. Like happened today with Nashville. I hit Glass today at plus 300 this morning. They're still playing right now, Nashville and St. Louis. So to the Tuesday game, let's see, we have Florida and Buffalo. Florida is fat, the F out of fat map. You definitely want to play against those guys. Buffalo has guys on the first line. Tage Thompson's been hurt. So guys have stepped up, like Dylan Cousins. You're going to get him at plus 300. You can get Victor Olofsson at plus 400. And he has, last time I checked, 4 out of the last 10 games, he's scored a power play point. So again, just doesn't make sense, but that's a great matchup for Tuesday. And St. Louis against Philly.
That's a good one too. You got
that's a good one too. Game? Yeah, Buchnevich is out, so you kind of want to just see who they're going to throw in there for the Blues. So if you go to dailyfaceoff.com, you can actually sort under line combinations, last 10 game stats, and it'll show you who their first power play line is and how many power play points they have. Then you just want to look at how many games, not how many points, right? You want to look at the guys that have scored a lot, but you also want to take a look at how many times they've scored.
Nice. Well, you gave us the whole formula. I think I don't even have to call you now. I'll just put $100 on each one of those for me.
Yeah, and I'll Venmo no problem. Sounds good. I'll email you my Venmo.
Well, okay. Well, thanks for coming on, Matt. I really appreciate you explaining that to us. Hopefully nobody gets into that market because we want to keep that a secret. Maybe we'll put this out next year. I have a question. Fat map, is that that's something that you came up with for this year? Have you done this in previous years, or is this the first year you've done it?
No, because I just discovered this market. So like if you go to the books that are legal now, I've been searching. Some books don't even offer it. DraftKings and FanDuel are the two that do, and they're pretty extensive as to what players they offer. Barstool, for instance, only does like, I don't know, 5 guys that they just think won't score or whatever. And their lines are terrible. So you definitely want to do some searching. You can find disparities of 100, even 150 sometimes between players. So, but yeah, they're hard to find. Like you have to kind of tinker around and look, and you're like, oh, what's this? So I saw that, and that's when I started taking a look at this market.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to see what the acronym is for next year. I'm sure the teams will change a little bit.
We'll have to figure one out. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt, for coming on. We're going to
Absolutely.
get to the next segment. Well, you guys can find out on the podcast what that is because we don't even know. All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Take care, guys. Yep.
Later, brother.